Hello and welcome to another video talking about quitting porn, and today's video is going to be about whether you should keep a streak or not. I'm not here to necessarily tell you that one is the right approach and the other's the wrong approach, because really it's up to you. But I am going to go into a few benefits for and the benefits against. Now, just going back to my own sort of journey with this whole quitting porn thing, and I've been keeping a streak for honestly about 8 years now. I still have a streak, and it's not something that I actively want. I don't journal about it anymore. I don't have a counter on my phone. There's no actual evidence of the streak, but I've just got into this habit of keeping a streak in my own mind. So I pretty much always know roughly what day I'm on when it comes to quitting porn and when it comes to quitting masturbation. And it's not enjoyable knowing that. I don't want to know that. It's a pattern of thought I've just got into, and it's something I'm going to work on because, well, I guess I'm kind of giving away the rest of the video here, but I think overall for me right now, I would rather not have a streak, and I'll go into the reasons why. But let's start off with a few of the benefits, because there are some benefits, and I don't want this video to be completely black and white, like one's definitely the right approach and the other one's wrong. So the main benefits, in my opinion, are really accountability. First of all, I'd say, because you're more accountable to yourself. So right, I'm on this number, and you can get into that way of thinking where you're on a certain really high number and you don't want to break it because you don't want to lose your streak, because you're not going to feel good if you lose that streak. So you keep on going, you have urges, you have a few triggers, and you go, no, I'm on this number of days, I'm not going to look at porn, I'm not going to masturbate, or whatever it is that you don't want to do. So that's one main benefit, is that accountability, both with yourself of going, yeah, I'm on this amount of days, so I don't want to look at anything sexual, but also with other people. Like, you might be on an app where you all kind of see each other's streaks, or you might have just told a friend, yeah, I'm on this journey and I want to stay accountable, so I'm going to let you know when I have a setback. And you might have told someone, I'm going to get to this amount of days. And a lot of evidence, a lot of research, a lot of studies have said, yeah, keeping sort of accountable for your actions is really, really great, and it's a good thing to do. Now, the other thing where this can be useful is sort of monitoring, like tracking your progress. So seeing how you're actually doing, because what you can do if you're keeping a streak is you're going to know, all right, well, I feel a little bit better now, on this amount of days, I feel much better, I'm more confident, my mind's more clear. And you can just really sort of figure out, like, both when you're doing well, like what works, because you have that streak, you have that number to go back to and go, okay, well, on this amount of days, what was going on there? Like, what patterns, what habits did I have at that time? What was my process like then, when my streak was really high? And you can kind of go back to that. And then also on the flip side, you can identify sort of main triggers, like if there's any sort of event situations where you've been on like low streaks because certain things have happened in your life, you can acknowledge that and realize, oh, well, maybe that's an area of life I need to work on a little bit. So it can be very useful for measuring your success and also measuring when things aren't going so well, so that you can learn from that. And then the final main benefit, in my opinion, is probably the sort of motivation. Again, it's a bit similar to accountability, but yeah, just that motivation of going, right, I've gone for another day, that's great, and you feel good. You start to get into that pattern of feeling good and sort of celebrating your success, and that can be a really, really great thing, especially if you're new to this, and it's something that you've wanted to quit for maybe a little while, and then you manage to get a streak. So overall, it feels good when your streak's high, I think, for most people. But then what about when it goes wrong? And that's the main sort of disadvantage to keeping a streak, at least in my opinion, is that you can feel like you're really climbing and climbing and climbing, and suddenly there's this massive crash and you're back down to day zero, and you can catastrophize and feel awful, unless you take a more self-compassionate approach. But a lot of people, I think, on this journey of trying to quit porn, they do beat themselves up and feel really terrible. And there's also a lot of shame and guilt around in certain like communities where people are like, oh, you know, you shouldn't be looking at this, or they're telling you don't do this, don't do that, without really fully understanding the individual, what's going on in their life, what patterns they have, what habits they've created, like actually truly getting to know that person. And you're never really going to do that over a few messages on the internet. But anyway, I think that's probably the main problem, is that people can end up getting into a more extreme internal conflict with themselves from dropping back down to day zero when they do have a setback, a relapse, whatever you want to call it. And then the other main reasons I'd say is the all or nothing thinking. So that's a really bad sort of cycle to get into. It's something that I've fallen into way too many times, where because of the streak you then look at like more sexual stuff, you know, you end up getting onto more progressive novel content because you're like, well, failed already, you know, it's all over. You're thinking in this real extreme way. I do have a video on all or nothing thinking as well. So that's one thing that a streak can possibly lead to. And then the other things are the sort of identity cycle that you get into, where you think like, I'm a porn addict, or you fail over and over, and you are so focused on this streak that you end up sort of seeing yourself as a failure and as an addict, and then that just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you end up looking at more sexual content, and you really do believe that you have like this deep problem with porn and that you're not going to be able to escape it. And I think just having a streak kind of keeps you anchored to that thought of porn, really. It's keeping you focused on porn in many ways. And that's probably one of the worst problems about keeping a streak, is that you're just keeping a part of yourself focused on porn and what you don't want in life instead of what you do want in life. And I was reading this book last week called The Happiness Trap. It was quite a good book actually in the end. I didn't like it at first, but it sort of won me over in the last few chapters. And one of the most interesting things I found in that book, which really helped me see streaks in a different way, is that in the goal setting section, it talked about dead goals. So these are goals that were literally like, they could be achieved by someone that's not even here anymore. Like someone 6 feet under in a coffin, they could achieve that goal. And they talked in this book about not having any dead goals. So don't have a goal that a dead person could achieve. And if you deep it, anyone who has died over the last year has most likely gone for a longer period of time than pretty much everyone. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people in the NoFap communities online, in these communities of people trying to quit porn. Dead people are achieving more if you're only focused on that goal of quitting porn. And that hit me hard. When I heard that, when I read that, it was just like, shit, like, it's a real wake-up call for me, because it just really helps you deepen your understanding of why these streaks are not the main aim, they're not the main goal. And so that's really what I want to talk about in this video, is just to make sure that you have goals that a dead person can't achieve. Make sure you have goals that really achieve something, because quitting porn is obviously a brilliant thing to do, and I hugely advocate everyone to quit porn because it's a bad thing in society. But at the same time, it can't be the primary focus. Quitting porn has to be a byproduct of better, healthier habits and processes, and actually taking action towards your goals instead of it just being all about quitting porn. That's not the main aim here. And so what I want to say, what I kind of want to finish this podcast, this video by saying is, you know what, like, it doesn't really matter whether you choose to count the days. It doesn't really matter whether you choose not to count the days. The most important thing is that you choose to make the days count. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.